Thanks to the Windows Phone 8.1 developer preview being released, we do have a glimpse into what Windows Phone 8.1 will bring to Windows Phone devices. So I figured while I had it installed here on this device that I'd actually just do a quick run through of some of the new features that you can expect. Okay, let's start with some of the changes to the lock screen. We have now double tap to wake up the device, even if the screen is completely off. Okay, one of the biggest aesthetic features is the ability to have a background, but instead of doing a background where it would actually be behind all the icons, certain icons, anyone that had a color to it before, now is transparent and shows that background in the back. And there's also a little parallax effect, so when you scroll down, the background moves, but at a different rate of speed than the foreground, which creates this 3D-like effect that we call the parallax effect. Other than that, you also have Windows theme syncing. So anything that you do to your theme here will also, if you have it set up, will also change things on your Windows 8.1 computer as well, or tablet, etc. You can also back up your start screen so that this way, if you ever either lose the device and get another one, or just say you switch to a new Windows Phone, it'll actually ask you if you want to reset up your start screen, this screen here, to be the same as it was before, and it'll just automatically throw all of that back together. Another feature is more columns. So here on this device, since it's larger than 5 inches, or 5 inches or larger, it doesn't have an option. It just has more 3 columns basically, or 6 columns if they're small icons, obviously. But if you have a device that's under 5 inches, you can actually turn that on and off. So it can either be the 4 columns or the 6 columns, and that's within the settings. Okay, one of my favorite features that makes me feel like Windows Phone is growing up slightly is pulling down here from the top. You do actually have a notification center. They call it the Action Center to match the name of the notification center in Windows. But this was seriously needed. It gives you this feeling like there is more to the operating system than just what is on the screen at all times. So this, though, has all of your notifications. If you tap them, you end up in whatever it was. You can also scroll through this and see there's a bunch of them. At the top here, you also have quick settings, which is something that's familiar with Android and now iOS as well. And you can actually customize these. So if you go to all settings, notification and action, you can see here you can choose your quick action. So I can tap that one and change it for brightness. Tap this one and make it internet sharing. And then now, whenever I pull this down, it changes those. Now, one thing to note here, this doesn't just turn things on and off like it does on Android and iOS. It actually takes you into the settings for that particular thing for some of them, and then for other ones, it actually will turn them on and off. Another feature I'm glad to see that came over from Android is the swipe keyboard. They call it word flow. So you can swipe along the keyboard to create words. Okay, next we have Cortana. Cortana, which is named after the AI from Halo, is now built into the device. So what this does is it's their version of Siri, S-Voice, or even Google Now. So you can go into here into the settings, and you can choose different settings for Cortana. For example, interests, things that you care about. For example, you can turn on Daily Glance, which will give you a quick update in the beginning of your day of the weather and that kind of stuff. You can turn on traffic or off, headline news, trip planner, so it'll actually scan your emails for itinerary information from any flights, for example, and notify you about changes to the flight, etc. Very similar to Google Now. You can also set up reminder preferences, quiet hours where things can't bother you. Your inner circle is a group of people that you are basically your favorites, and it allows those people to get through. And this is kind of just a collection of all of her settings for all of those sorts of things. You can also set up nicknames for people. So, for example, you could call your wife instead of her name, your son, etc., which is kind of neat that it has that ability to do that. You can also set reminders. Just like Google Now, you can say, next time I'm at CVS, remind me to get safety pins, whatever it may be. It'll notify you when it recognizes that you're in one of those locations, etc. You can even set up home and work and use those in that as well. Also, you can say chit-chat to her, just like you can with Siri and even S-Voice. So you can say things like, what do you think of Siri?
Her hard to say. So far, our conversations have been kinda one-sided.
And get back little pithy remarks, just like with the other personal assistants on the other operating systems too. Cortana is also a universal search now, so she can search for the web, local, images, videos, which you could do before, but also now on your phone as well. So typing in, for example, John will also show me anyone on my phone whose name is John. Other things to note, Internet Explorer has been upgraded to Internet Explorer 11 instead of 10, which actually is a little quicker at loading pages and has a nicer UI, even though it's kind of subtle changes on that front. There's now a Podcasts app, which allows you to use Bing to find podcasts and save them to your device and listen to them, etc. The Music and Video Hub has been separated into Music, which is now Xbox Music, and Video. Okay, they've also introduced two things that they call Sense. There is Wi-Fi Sense, which essentially allows you to save your cellular data by having Wi-Fi Sense turned on. So what it does is it'll automatically try to connect to a Wi-Fi network for you, even go through the terms of use if that's required. You know, those little splash screens that happen sometimes with Wi-Fi networks. It'll try to get through that automatically. It'll even provide your name, email, or phone number if you allow it to, just to get through that so that it can connect to a Wi-Fi network automatically without any requests or information or tapping from you. That's kind of neat, I guess. If you're trying to save data costs on your plan, it'll automatically just kind of connect to Wi-Fi as you walk around. Then there's DataSense, which is also a thing trying to help you conserve mobile cellular data. You can set limits and have it restrict background data, and then it'll also give you suggestions on how to conserve data as well. And of the senses, there's also Storage Sense, which basically just allows you to install apps to your SD card instead of just on the internal storage. Microsoft has also built in a Project My Screen feature, which will search for any eligible devices on the Wi-Fi network that you can project your stuff to. That includes TV, monitor, or projector. You can also plug in via USB to one of those devices, basically a TV out, and that'll work as well. The Microsoft Store has been revamped. You now have a Spotlight, it's called, which is stuff for me. So it uses your interest to kind of decide what apps you might like. Also, it has different sections and some other filtering options that it didn't have before. But also there's Universal Apps, which is a great concept for Microsoft to be doing. But basically it allows developers using Visual Studio to create an app and have it easily be accessible on Windows Phone through the store, or Windows devices like tablets and PCs, all using very similar, if not identical, code. Battery management has been added. Something that is also in Android is to show you the different apps that are using your battery more than other ones, so that you can kind of figure out how you want to change that to kind of get more battery life. The calendar has been revamped to look more like the Outlook calendar, and then also it has added things just like the Outlook calendar, your weather, to let you know on particular days what the weather forecast is supposed to be, so you can plan accordingly. You can now control ringer and notification volume separate from your media and apps, which is something that they didn't have before, but now they do. So I can make my ringer notifications high and my apps a little lower, etc. The camera now has a burst mode that you can use, and it takes a bunch of pictures and then allows you to go in and pick which one you want to keep, and it'll delete all of the other ones. Also, Microsoft has added support for higher resolution screens, dual SIM, which is allowing you to use two SIMs at the same time, but only if the hardware supports it. We don't have any Windows phones that have dual SIM at the moment, so that's that. But when they do, the support's there now. And also enterprise options like VPN and secure Wi-Fi options that are all inside the workplace settings here in your settings. And there you go. I hope that that wasn't too long for most of you. And I want to know what you guys think. I mean, I personally think that it does add a lot of features that Windows Phone was definitely missing. But is it making them quite competitive with Android and iOS just yet? I don't really know. But it is definitely a step in the right direction. But what do you guys think? Reach out to me on Twitter, Facebook, Google+, or in the comments below here on YouTube or on the website. Thanks for watching.